Today we're going to learn about an artist named John James Audubon. Now, John James Audubon was an artist that was alive when America was a baby. So that means he's not alive anymore because that was a long time ago. What makes John James Audubon interesting is that he traveled across the entire country of America and made realistic artworks of every single bird in America. He would draw and paint birds so realistically that scientists were able to use his artworks to learn about birds. Isn't that cool? Something else that's cool about John James Audubon's artwork is that he made his drawings the exact same size as the birds in real life. So if he was drawing a bird that was this big, he used a paper that was this big. And if he was drawing a really big bird, like a crane, then he had to get a giant piece of paper. So what's interesting about that too is that all of his artworks got put into a book. But since he used such big pieces of paper for the big birds, his book is so big that when you turn the pages, you have to turn the pages like this. Isn't that so cool? So in honor of John James Audubon, today we are going to be learning how to draw a robin. Okay, boys and girls, we are going to draw an American robin. Now, to do this bird, we are going to need to do two different circles. So the bigger circle is going to be the body, the chubby little body, and the smaller circle is going to be the head. So I'm using two different tracing cups. If you want to ask your parents for permission to get another plastic cup, you can. I'm going to be using this opening for the body, and then I'm going to flip this cup over and use the smaller side for the head. And when you're using this, you're going to want to start with pencil because we are going to be doing some erasing. And you're going to want to draw really lightly because we're going to be erasing some stuff. And it's a lot easier to erase whenever you draw lightly. So I'm going all the way around, lightly pressing down, not pushing down hard. I can move that to the side. Now I'm going to use the smaller circle. I'm going to overlap these. I'm going to move my cup until it crisscrosses over. Going all the way around and very lightly coming all the way around. So they're crisscrossed just like that. Now I'm going to connect these and erase this middle bit. So I'm going to start here and do a curve. Then I'm going to start here and do a curve. Now I'm going to erase all this inside stuff. And if you ever need to pause the video, rewind it, slow it down, that is all good and fine. You do what you need. Now for the wing, you can use one of these cups as a tracer, but I'm just going to show you. And if you want to use a cup, you can. So we're doing a curve starting right here on the outside of the body, and we're going to go in and curve up. In and curve up. See how it's kind of a curve? So if you want to use one of your cups to do this curve, you can, or you can just do it like I just did. Now, that is the edge of the wing. Now we're going to do the tail feathers. John James Audubon did his bird drawings very realistically, but I'm not as good as John James Audubon. So I'm going to make ours a little bit more cartoony and it will be cute and fun. But we are still trying our best. So I did 3 lines here at diagonals for the tail. Then I'm going to do 2 lines going down. These are going to be the legs. Now for the feet, we're going to do a tiny little line coming off the back. Then we're going to do 3 lines for the toes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's already starting to look like a bird. Now for our bird's beak. We are going to find where you would think a beak would normally go, where the nose would be. And we're going to hop inside a little bit and do a C curve. Now from here, we're going to make a cone shape. So I'm going to go out and out. So it's kind of like a triangle. Now I'm going to erase this little line that's inside of the beak, because you wouldn't be able to see that through the beak because the beak's not see-through. There. Now for the eye, we're going to do a circle, and circles take practice. So take your time, do your best. Depending on how big you made this, you could look around and see if you have any tracers, like the end of a marker to use as a tracer, or the end of a pencil, of another pencil you could use as a tracer. If you really want to use a tracer, you can always get creative and look around to see if there's anything that you have around you. Now for the other eye. Because the bird's head is kind of turned, we can't see all of the bird's other eye. So what we're going to do is make a lemon shape or a football shape. We're going to start at the top and we're going to curve in a C shape down. Now we're going to do a reverse C shape on the other side. Just like that. Now we're going to do a circle inside of here for his pupil. And then a circle inside here for his pupil. Now we want to have a glint in the eye so it looks like light is reflecting off the eye. So it's a tiny circle inside the smaller circle. Now you might see this a lot in anime where you have like lots of circles going on inside the eye. But for a little bit more realistic, we're just doing one. Because if the bird is outside, there's only going to be one light source, the sun. So we'll only have one reflection. Okay, now American robins are different from European robins. And since we're studying John James Audubon, we're going to do American robins. And American robins have little white patches around their eyes. So I'm doing this very, very lightly around the eye, just so that I know whenever I'm coloring this in where I shouldn't color too much. Kind of like glasses around his eyes. Okay, now the thing that makes a robin really cool is they have a red chest. It makes them so pretty. So for its red chest, we're going to start in the neck area, and we're going to basically make a curve, kind of like a teddy bear would have a colored stomach. And we're going to make a big old curve between the legs and the tail. And it's really not red like fire engine red, it's more like an orangey red. So I'll show you how I'll color that later. We are almost done. So for the tail feathers, we're going to do just a couple lines, and we're going to make them different heights, some closer together, some farther apart, to show feathers there. And for the wing, I'm going to do a curve right here. That's going to show me where I'm going to end my wing. Now I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to do some zigzags. I'm poking out past the body. And then I'm going to go back and forth. This is the part where you can kind of do it how you want. I think that's how I'm wanting it for right now. Now we're going to erase any parts that crossed through. With any artwork, there's always some steps that you can alter and do yourself. Okay, now we're done. All we gotta do now is color it in. I'm going to start out with marker. I'm going to do gray for his body and red for his red chest. And then I'm going to do orange for his legs and his beak. Going to leave the spaces around his eyes white and black for the center of his eyes. And then when I color it in, I'm going to use orange and red for his red chest. I'm going to layer those colors. Then I'm going to use orange and yellow for the beak. And I think I'll use some black for the more shadowy parts, because a robin's head and the tips of his wings and the tips of his tail tends to be a little bit darker. All right, let's get to it. And that is my robin that I have drawn, inspired by John James Audubon. I was inspired for this cartoon looking robin from the YouTube channel called So Easy. They did a European style robin and I really thought it was cute, so I decided to make my own American version. You can do whatever colors you want. You do not have to do the realistic colors that I chose, but if you do, this is a good example for you. You can pause it right here and color it just like that if you want to. Have fun!